Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttatoosandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I'm your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now let's get this show on the road. What's going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Metal Forge. How are you in this descent into spooky season here? You know, Halloween is on Monday, but wait, I gotta stop. I can't get ahead of myself because I recorded a whole monologue of like 7 minutes and didn't even announce the guest yet. So, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Our guest this week in a special Reforged interview is Cam Mesmer from the band Spell. He was back on the Metal Forge back in 2020 of all times. Oh my gosh, when they released Opulent Decay. It seems like an eternity ago because, you know, here in just about a month from now, here in about 4 weeks actually, we're going to have episode number 200. 200 episodes, that's insane. That's every week, you know, minus like a couple of weeks here, you know, in January of 2020. But like 200 episodes, that is wild. I'm like ecstatic. I'm stoked. I'm going to try and come up with a super cool guest for that week. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. I mean, holy shit, right? It's 200. So going forward in the Metal Forge, I did an interview last night with Harold and Angela Garland and Anthony Rutherford on their Crossfire radio station show called Local Overload, and it was really cool. It was really fun, but it's like I get to get the word out about the Metal Forge and about my band Overload, right? So I've always said that the Metal Forge is not always necessarily about, just metal music. It is about heavy music and the culture, the metal culture, whether it be the metal musicians, punk musicians, what am I trying to say here? Horror movies, artwork, tattoo artists, it's the culture. It's not like just, talking about the music, it's about the way of life. And going forward, I am going to try my hardest to actually get more guests on the show that are in the culture, from having tattoo artists from around the country / world, having artists on here like, Paul David Seymour, people like that, and having them on the show, because it matters, it kicks ass. And if you can turn on anybody to someone else's art that you enjoy, that's a win-win for both. Because hell, I mean, if we didn't have these awesome fucking artists like Pitforge Daniel Porta or Bronca Studio or Broham or any of those awesome fucking people, Jared Spicer, Phil Garrett, any of those awesome fucking people, Halsey Cost, we wouldn't have awesome fucking album covers, And that's just part of it, because like I said, Jared Spicer and Phil Garrett, they also do tattoos. Phil owns Ageless Art Tattoo, who is a sponsor here on Metal Forge, and Jared has done tattoos on me even. I think he's done 5 on me this year. So hell yeah, it's all about the culture, So I'm really looking forward to expanding the Metal Forge into that even more, because it's all about the promotion of the heaviness and the lifestyle. So fuck yeah, if you make metal clothing, fucking hit me up. We will totally get that shit, going. I know there's quite a few of you out there that actually do. Creeping Death Designs, she needs to hit me up, fucking for real. But yeah, again, this week, like I said, I have Cam Mesmer on in a Reforged episode. He is talking about their new Spell's new album, their pronouns, pal. He's talking about Spell's new album, Tragic Magic, which comes out today, and you're going to get to hear an exclusive song from that album today that has not been released, unless you bought it earlier. And hey, if you did, hell yeah, more power to you, because that kicks ass. And always support the musicians, support anybody you can. But I also have another cool thing, because this is spooky season. Athena is here this week with a special, Metal Mischief. It's a little bit different because she's talking about the new Dark Funeral album. And, I am not a huge black metal fan. I need to listen to more. I need to, that was one of the things, Vomit 666 Clothing, he gave me a little, like a black metal primer here about a year ago, before he decided to get off of social media, because, social media can be toxic as fuck sometimes, and I totally get that. So, yeah, I need to get more into black metal. I need to get more into other types of metal than just traditional heavy metal, new wave of traditional heavy metal, British heavy metal, stuff like that, and thrash. I need to get more into, like, death metal, more into, like, grind, more into black metal, because, everybody has their thing. Everybody has their idea of what they like in metal, and I just want to, I want to know about all of it. It's almost like the horror films, there's some really fucking weird shit out there, and, you can't just watch Friday the 13th every fucking weekend, ultimately it's not going to do the job, I guess. It's not going to scare the fuck out of you anymore, right? So you've got to go even farther, I guess. So, yeah. Let's check in with Athena here at Metal Mischief and from the Heavy Metal Bunker and see what she has to say.
Misfits and miscreants, bangers and mashers, deviants and the deviated, the tormented and the fermented, ghouls and goblins, creatures of the night. Jack those headphones, crank the volume to max, spark it up, and just relax. It's time for your deadly dose. Welcome to the next installment of Metal Mischief. On today's lineup, Dark Funeral. We are the Apocalypse. Children of the Night, gather around as I summon the black metal demons in honor of Samhain. Feel the darkness swelling in your bowels, thick mucus coursing through your veins, the burning embers of your bleak black heart, billowing smoke from your lungs. The gates of hell open, and the earth trembles with shuddering quakes of fear and ecstasy. Life is crashing down. Your sanity is fleeting. You prepare yourself for the end, the apocalypse, for Dark Funeral. Alright, so as metalhead, I have my preferences for the genres as most of us do. I am extremely picky about my black metal though. Always kind of tending to lean more towards death, thrash, speed, and like grind metal. But as a metalhead, I appreciate all genres. But of course, I have mixed feelings about some of it, as I'm sure most of us do. But that is also the pleasure of having so many forms of metal. There's something for everyone. So, this being said, black metal not really being at the top of my list, I still have my favorites though, of course. And honestly, I have more so now than a handful of years back. Black metal's kind of grown on me more over the years. But one band has always stood out for me. Even though they've gone through like member changes like a lot of metal bands have, the way they make me feel has not changed. And yes, I'm talking about Dark Funeral. To me, they are the masters of black metal, in my opinion. We Are the Apocalypse kind of surprised me actually on the first listen. The production is cleaner with new clarity, including the mastering and mixing of the vocals. It's like this layered, layered dramatically over like the marching death ensemble of haunting guitars and thick, blistering drums. Track 1 begins with Nightfall. It's a perfect accompaniment to the Season of the Witch. Hel Hamarda pummels us with his sharp, stabbing vocals, and Audra Melek's bass plucks at our tendons. So, once you enter, there is no going back. There is no turning back. The marching drums just pull you deeper and deeper into the black mass. And before you know it, you have approached the gates of hell. Track 2, Let the Devil In. Okay. I can spend all night dissecting the tracks and making gory algorithms and references. But I would like to jump to the middle of all of it. An almost like ballad-esque type track. It's called When I'm Gone. It is a beautifully haunting funeral psalm. I listened to it over and over and over again. It was just ensconced in the melody and the vocals. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks. And I'm going to take a pause here and I'm going to do a PSA announcement for the Metal Forge. So if you haven't had your weekly dose of the Metal Forge, I highly suggest at noon on Fridays that you dial in and make sure you get your weekly dose of metal from Mark Jackson and the Metal Forge and Metal Mischief from Athena. I'm just saying, as a PSA, and I mean that as a pubic service announcement, pay attention to your local motherfuckers. And in my notes it says take a shot, so taking a shot, wait for it. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Wow. It says take a toke. Oh, and then it says high five Mark. Hey, Mark. Up in the heavy metal bunker. That's right. So we're going to jump even a little further ahead, guys, because I'm not going to ramble on about the whole album like I just said. But Leviathan is a true ode to black metal. It's a spiritual, like, upheaving and an upheaving of melody and anarchy. The melodic intro drops and shatters with piercing vocals and fervent orchestrated guitars, all completely balanced out with like this quicksand bass riffs. All of a sudden, I have this sensation of burning matches. That must be the sulfur of hell I smell. Gates agape, enter the doomed entourage. It is time to meet our death dealers. Lord Aramon on guitars and songwriting. Oh, wait. I forgot to do my disclosure here. If I fuck up any of your names, I am extremely sorry. I try, I really do. I Google the shit. I try, I practice, I fail. But please don't be mad. If you would like me to, I will always correct it. Just reach out to me and let me know, hey man, this is how you pronounce my name. Just, that's cool. Because I'm about to butcher the rest of these. Shamo. My computer wanted to say Shaq, but I wasn't going to do Shaq on guitars. Unless that is actually how you pronounce it. In that case, I'm very sorry. But I'm going to go with Shamo, because it just sounds really cool. And then, El Mahadra. I did that right? Again, I think. Vocal and lyrics. Adra Melek on the bass. And Jalahalama on the drums. Again, you guys, I am so sorry, but I appreciate everything you do, even if I fuck up your name. So, that was the nitty, here is the gritty. Being that this is the 7th studio release, you would think that bands would, quote unquote, and I'm doing the air quote finger thingies, fool around on their producers. But not Dark Funeral. They are still under production and distribution, signed to Century Media Records. That's right, Century Media Records. So, keeping the band in mind though, make sure you visit your local record store and stalk the band on Bandcamp, YouTube. Oh, yes, by the way, they have several very cool videos up for the new album, so check it out. Spotify, Pandora, and all the other streaming music platforms. Do it! Just fucking do it! Just go fucking do it, man! Alright. So we have come to that point in the evening when we have to part ways. Are you sick of me bossing you around? You want to get back to the Metal Forge and see what Mark has to say? I know. But not before we do Athena's shot review. 5 shots, that is. So, if you have been sleeping through economics, here is how we count to 5. 5 shots. I needed 5 shots to get through the motherfucker. 4 shots. Meh. Could've used some 3 shots. Good. Made me air drum. Bang my head. 2 shots. Really good. Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. 1 shot. Excellent! I will probably have a hangover in the morning. So, Mark, will you help me with a shitty drum roll, please? I give Dark Funeral's new album, We Are the Apocalypse, 1 shot! Excellent! I will most definitely have a hangover in the morning. So, until we meet again, have a most excellent time, and remember, keep it heavy. Cut! That's right!
So, I actually did get to listen to most of this album with Athena recording Metal Mischief last night, or actually 2 nights ago, because, I was there, and it's totally cool. I really like We Are the Apocalypse, because we listened to it about 3 times in a row before she actually had hit record. And I am really digging When I'm Gone and Leviathan. Those are 2 kick-ass songs. Like, of course, yeah, she talked about how Nightfall was and how it kicked ass and how it was a great album opener. And then, Let the Devil In and all that. But, like, seriously, like, I am stupid when it comes to, like, heavy music, doing stuff with, like, clean guitars and shit like that. So, yeah, like, Leviathan on this album totally kicks ass. And, I mean, this is actually going to be one of my deals. I'm really liking this, so I'm going to actually have to buy my own copy for sure. So, let's go ahead and let's get into this episode with Spell with Cam Mesmer here. He kicks ass. He's a super down-to-earth guy. He is an awesome cat. I love talking to Cam. I love talking to him on, like, Instagram and stuff like that, and just seeing what all these guys are doing. So, from the new album, Tragic Magic, this is not the exclusive, by the way. This is the song that they released a video to. This is Ultraviolet.
Vast cathedral of the sky.
All right, metalheads, this is a Reforged episode here for almost Halloween. I have Cam on the line from the band Spell.
Hello. How you doing?
Dude, I am doing well. So it's been just about, like 2.5 years now since you've been on.
Yeah, just about that, yeah.
That's crazy, because you were in May of 2020, so it was just as the pandemic was ramping up, and you had just released Opulent Decay.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are 2 years later, and I'm sorry, for all the listeners out there, I am a little bit congested this week, so I might sound funny to everybody.
Oh, it's that time of year. Everyone's getting sick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And and I just had a flu shot last week, so yeah, I think it's that, actually.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So anyways, as I was saying, you had just released Opulent Decay the last time you were on the show, and that was a spectacular release.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You know, it still frequents my MP3 player, my CD player, whatever you want to say. 'Cause I don't have it on vinyl, although I would love to have it on vinyl.
Well, it's shipping from the U.S. now, so you know it's around.
Yes, absolutely. I need to get another copy of it, because, like I said, I'm a completionist when it comes to like albums and things. So
right, yeah, I'm a bit like that too.
So you have something new.
Yeah, we got a new album called Tragic Magic, and it will be out this Friday, October 28th, and we're very excited about it.
So actually, it will be out today.
Oh, yeah.
By the time this airs today.
Great, it'll be out today.
Hell yeah. So go ahead and give us the rundown of what's been going on with Spell for the last couple of years.
Sure thing, yeah. So we put out Opulent Decay, and we were very proud of that, and still are, of course. But right after that, the pandemic hit, and so, I had a bit of extra time in my hands, so I did, what I think a lot of people did, which is just stick myself headfirst into the next project I could, which was writing a new album. And, I was off work for a little while, like many of us, for like 18 hours a day. Right. And, I'm always in the habit of, when I always kind of work on music pretty much every day when I get home from work. And, I'm one of those guys where sometimes I'll just, on a good day, sometimes I'll just, start working on music right when I get home. And then, next thing I know, like I'm seeing the sunrise and I'm like, oh, Jesus, I haven't even had any dinner and I've got to be at work in like 2 hours. And well, that means it's good for my music. It's not good for me. It was kind of miserable and terrifying. But anyhow, that was okay when I was off work because I could do that all the time. And, I didn't have to suffer sleep. We started working on it right away. And it was, I guess, around that same time when we decided to part ways with Graham. We'd just kind of been growing apart a little bit, and even for Opulent Decay, it had been a bit of a struggle for me to get him to learn the songs. I could just kind of tell his heart wasn't in it, and I never want to be, trying to pressure someone into, playing music they don't want to do or anything like that. So we decided that it would just be me and Al. Al's my brother. He's the drummer for Spell as well, and he's also his first instrument is the guitar. So. So on this album, I played rhythm guitars and he played lead guitars, all the solos, and we just started working on it together. We'd go down to the jam space and we'd bounce them off each other and work out the rhythms. And sometimes, he'd have an idea, and so he'd hop off the drums onto the guitar, and I'd hop on the drums, and we'd switch back and forth and just play them. And that's pretty much, I guess that's why we were able to get this one out a little faster. We had a bit more time, and it was a bit more of an efficient process because it was just the two of us. We didn't have to kind of teach the songs to anyone else.
Definitely. And see, that's kind of interesting. You were saying how you had each taken, like, you had jumped on the drums and then he would jump on the drums and then swap to guitar and things like that. I know your brothers, you played music forever together. So there is that wavelength, I think, as well.
Yeah, I just lost you for a split second there, but I think you're talking about our wavelength as brothers. We've got pretty good communication. We've been, we've always gotten along pretty well. And even when we were in high school and stuff, it's not always the coolest to hang out with your brother when you're in high school. So we played in different bands for a while. But by the time we were sort of in, grade 11 or something like that, we kind of realized that, we had this. All of our friends didn't quite share the same opinions as we did about music. So together, and so that's what we did then. So that's when we first started Spell. Originally, we were called Striker. But it's the same band. We always agreed on, Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Wasp and Accept and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, our communication's pretty good. I find that, we've got so much musical overlap and kind of shared experience in that respect that I can say something like, we can say something like, oh, play that, like, what was that Rat riff you were playing? Or like, do that Devil's Blood thing on that riff or something like that. We can make references and kind of usually we immediately know what the other one is talking about.
Definitely. See, that's awesome as hell to have somebody that you can just like completely do that with. Whether it's actual like blood relation or somebody that you played with forever. It's like
I guess. And the other thing I guess is kind of that like if you're in a band and someone's playing something you don't like or whatever, you've got an idea and they've got a different idea. There's always kind of that awkward thing where you're like, how far do I push it? But but with Al, it's like since we're brothers, we know that even if we sort of like we got angry at each other a couple times when we were on this record, when we just have agree, but it's kind of one of those things where if I really believe in something, I know I can push it, and the next day, even if we get really mad, the next day we're going to be fine because we're brothers and we get along, and I always know it'll come back around after a bit. So it was like we never felt like we were walking on eggshells when we had an opinion about a song. We always said it, we always got it out there, and there's a lot of times when he'd say something about something I'd written. It's tough, of course, when you write something and then someone's like, nope, that isn't good, and you're like, it just hurts you so bad. But a lot of the times, when I know to trust him when he says something, who I will sort of let sort of like slice up my music that I write without feeling like, oh, he just didn't understand it or something. Okay, I know that Al gets it, so if he says something I'm doing is bad, then I know it's bad.
Well, and plus, you talk about you all did get into it a little bit, but like, we're all adults here, and at the point, I'm sure you all have had your day of schoolyard tussle type stuff that you're just not doing that these days. Right. So
until you're, sometimes when you're siblings, you're suddenly 12, you're both 12 again.
Right.
But most of the time we're all adults.
Definitely. So this is another new full length. It is a total of 10 tracks. Mm-hmm. So that's totally cool because you all are still putting out albums where a lot of people have switched over to the EP thing.
Right. And a lot of people even just to the singles. And I can understand that, the modern format of music for most people, by and large across the world, is not vinyl. It's, Spotify or whatever. So I can understand why people are doing that. Like you get to kind of make a bit of a hullabaloo for every single instead of just once for the whole album. So, in terms of like, like PR per square inch, you're getting more value. But I just like albums, that's what I grew up with. Maybe that just makes me sort of an old fogey that's going to be obsolete right away. But, I still have my record player. And even when I'm not putting on vinyl records, when I go to listen to music on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, or on Bandcamp, I usually put on the whole album, and I kind of, most of the time, just sort of listen through it just because that's what I feel like I want to experience the artist.
I agree 100% with that. And that is one thing that I do. Every time I go to a show or host a band or anything like that, I will try to, I will purchase anything that they have on physical media, always.
Cool.
Whether it's CD, vinyl, if they have something, I will get it.
Awesome.
And one of the things
need people like you.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I love doing is just putting it in and start to front, or front to back, whatever you want to say, start to finish. Just listen to the whole thing and just see where it takes me.
Yeah, because it's all intentional. We spent weeks debating over the order to put the songs in, and even the way to end one song, which is contingent on how the song afterwards is going to begin, stuff like that.
So let me ask you this: with knowing that this is going to go to vinyl, did you have to plan accordingly based on track
on a vinyl
length?
record? Yeah, on a vinyl record, you don't really want a vinyl record to be longer than maybe 45 minutes, or else it negatively affects the sound quality. Our record came in a little bit shorter than that, but I kind of just like overall aesthetically, I like the feel of like, say, an album that's around 40 minutes long. To me, that just feels like the right amount of time. It doesn't lose my attention. It's long enough that I can really get into it, and you're not like getting up to change the track every couple of seconds. So my goal is always to write an album that's sort of like around double LPs that I really love, of course, like Pink Floyd The Wall and stuff. But most of the time, I don't really go for long albums.
Definitely. No, I agree 100% with that. And it's like, you know, when the CD craze really happened and they noticed that they could put, 79 minutes of music on there, it seems like that was the goal. And essentially it's a double album on one disc.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can understand why they did that at first, with the changing formats. But I said I can understand why they did that with the changing formats, but maybe I guess my attention span is just not that good.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, because it can be like really painstaking to listen to, daunting almost to listen to 80 minutes of music. You get to the Metallica albums from Load on, and they're all that long, and it's like, my gosh. It's like,
it makes me think of like Judas Priest Nostradamus or something like.
Yeah,
we're just made 40 minutes instead. Pick the best parts.
Exactly, and I think that's a thing that now that vinyl has come back, I think a lot of people are really getting back into making albums shorter. Yeah,
I love that. I'm all for that.
Unless you're Iron Maiden, and then you release a 60-minute album over 3 discs.
Yeah, even Iron Maiden. I'm a massive, huge Iron Maiden fan, lifelong diehard. It was my first favorite band, always my favorite band, and I like their new. If they would just release an album that was like as long as Peace of Mind, with a bunch of 4 or 5 minute songs on it, like to me, I just would feel like that would be so much more digestible. I don't really need to listen to too many 12-minute heavy metal songs very often.
Right. The reason I say that you listen to like Hallowed Be Thy Name and Rime of the Ancient Mariners when you're doing cardio. Yeah.
Sure, those are great. And I like it when every album maybe has like one epic banger. That's fine with me. I'm not against them. I love Hallowed Be Thy Name and Rime of the Ancient Mariner. But I saw a little while ago that I think it was the last Iron Maiden album, they were kind of advertising. This is the longest song we've ever written, like something like 21-minute song or something. And I was just thinking, to me, that's not a selling point. I'll listen to it for sure, but like I never would write a song to try to make it long. In fact, on this album, we spent a lot of effort trying to do the exact opposite. We really tried hard to just pare them down and like cut anything away that wasn't just the crucial fundamental building blocks structure of the song, because I just feel like we aren't getting any longer. We've all got stuff to do. We're all busy as hell. I don't have time to sit and listen to, an 8-minute song when it could be said in 3 minutes.
Right.
I was inspired for that in a lot of ways by the like the Motown hits of the 60s and the 60s girl groups and that sort of stuff. I've been listening to that stuff lately, and I just was blown away by the efficiency of the songwriting. Like there's, it's not trite. It's not like they're just short pop songs with nothing to do. They're goddamn beautiful, but there's no extra. You can tell that they were just such brilliant, like such experienced professionals in such a kind of minimalist way. There's nothing extra. There's nothing unnecessary. There's no notes that aren't needed. So every note you hear, it's so intentional, so necessary. If you take away even one part, the whole song would lose its structure, lose its integrity. So that's really what we were trying to do on this album, which is why the songs are a little bit shorter, more efficient, sharper.
Definitely. And that's really interesting that you say it that way, because it's actually just not Motown that does that. It's it's almost all of the music in the early to mid 60s that do that. Whether it's the Beatles or the Stones.
Tons of music does it. All kinds of music. It's kind of the whole deal with pop music. But it was kind of Motown specifically that kind of got me really thinking about that actively.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And see, I look at people like Little Richard and like Jerry Lee Lewis the same way, where they just got they've got this natural like hit within their body that they make them one thing famous, and then they just go with it and run with it. Mm-hmm. And who's to sit there and to say that Long Tall Sally is not the same as Good Golly Miss Molly, because it is. It is all relative, but you're absolutely right. There is that thing that like that sweet spot to hit.
Yeah. Well, Lemmy always said that Little Richard was his favorite musician of all time, I believe. So
something
to learn from that guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, I was, gracious enough to actually, gracious, I guess, I don't know. I was able to see Little Richard when he was still, well before he had passed away. And
wow.
It was awesome.
That's cool. I'm jealous.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Well, I went to South by Southwest in 2004, and
cool.
he was the keynote speaker. And I swear the man played 2.5 hours straight.
Wow.
The band kept playing. Even when he would talk to the crowd, the band would keep playing, and he would just...
Wow.
And they played 2.5 hours. People were yelling songs out. He would go from one straight to the song that he heard somebody yell out. It was great.
Wow.
And consummate professional. And I mean, at the time, he was probably like 66 or 67 years old,
Yeah, that's amazing. That kind of energy, and those songs take a lot of guts too. Like there's not some easy listening stuff. He's howling and wailing and caterwauling. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I could do it, but
yeah, I've got a lot of respect for musicians that are that old that are still doing it. Like Ozzy. A couple of days ago, actually, I saw Elton John, and he was just he's I think 76, and he was just jumping all beautifully. And actually, a few weeks ago, I got to see Buffy St. Marie, and she's even older than that. She's 79 or even maybe 80 or something like that, and she has so much energy. I couldn't believe it. If I'm doing half that well when I'm half that age, I'll be proud.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that people give a lot of guff to the people like the reunion tour bands, like we're retiring this year, and it's like the Kiss thing, Yeah, and it's like I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. And at least they're out there doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not necessarily taking away from anybody either.
For sure, yeah. And I can understand wanting to see bands that are young and just putting their stuff out right now and kind of like just starting out and relevant and saying their message fresh. But some of those old guys are just they're lifelong performers. They don't know how to do anything else. Actually, I recently saw Styx as well, and I didn't even realize, but Lawrence Gowan is the singer of Styx now, and man, can that guy sing.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so cool to see a real pro like that.
And, Lemmy even said, he's like, if I, bringing it back to that, he said that if he didn't have music or if he had to, like, quit, like, tomorrow, he wouldn't be able to do anything else because he's not qualified.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the only job he ever knew, I mean, I'm sure
right.
he could go back to doing tech work or something, but who wants to do that?
Yeah, not him.
No,
not me.
Definitely not. So let's go ahead and let me ask you this. Since it is just you and Al now, what are the tour plans going to be like? Are you going to tour?
Well, just yesterday, we had our first proper full band rehearsal, actually since 2019, if you can believe it.
Oh my God.
We've got 2 new members joining us, and we're really excited about it. We'll be announcing that soon. Actually, I'll say one of them is my pal Gabriel. He also plays in a great local band called Girlfriends and Boyfriends. They're kind of a goth post-punk new wave sort of outfit, but he's got his roots in heavy metal, and he's enjoying playing that again. So it was so much fun to be back in the room. And so of course we've expanded to a 4-piece, so we can finally do all the guitar harmony. We've got a synthesizer now too. So there's a lot of stuff that we wrote on the albums that we could never really do live, and we were kind of trying to do it with samples and stuff, but it's way better to just play it. And so I'm beyond excited to finally be doing that.
That is exciting. That now, that is a great thing to when you've always been a 3-piece and you get to make that transition to, because I think pretty much everybody who's a 3-piece still records 2 guitar tracks.
Yep.
Even during solos, you still got that rhythm track underneath. And then, it always kind of feels like it drops out just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You need it.
Yeah, and then when you actually get to make that transition to having a second guitar player, I think that's really, really kind of cool.
Yeah.
I wish, sometimes I wish that my band would do that, but then again, I'm like, well, we work so good as a 3-piece.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't necessarily need it, but I guess our music's gotten a little bit more, I don't say more complex because I think this new stuff is actually simpler, but, the layers are more important.
I agree with
so, you know,
yeah.
you just, you know, the extra couple of hands helps a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's always nice to, it makes the stage look better sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, for sure. So, do you have any dates planned for anything this year?
Yeah, so we're gonna be playing at Hell's Heroes Festival, which is in March. I can't remember the exact date offhand.
I believe
we're really excited.
It's around the 25th and 26th, I believe.
I think that's right. Yeah, we're pretty excited for that. There's another festival which I don't think I'm at liberty to announce yet, but it's going to be in California, and I'm very excited about that as well. And we're looking at some stuff in Europe as well, and we'll be doing a local album release show at some point also.
Hell yeah! All that sounds great. You know, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are not just going to release albums.
We love playing.
Yeah, definitely. Because, you know, again, you know, not to go back to things that Lemmy has said, but, you know, he said any five dudes can get in a studio and record an album, go out and prove it.
Oh yeah, I think you maybe cut out for a second. Yeah, any five dudes can get in the studio and record, but maybe it takes a little more to do it live.
Yeah, go out and prove it, as he said. So, absolutely, I am totally stoked for that, and hopefully we can get you out here to the Midwest sometime next year as well.
Yeah, we'd love that. We had a great time out there when we were on tour with Lucifer, and we intend to come back.
Hell yeah! See, I'm excited already, and you know, it might be a year from now, but I'm excited already. Let's go ahead and switch over to some general questions here. You remember the game from the last time? These will be completely different than the last time.
Okay. Sounds good. Throw them at me.
If you could hire any wedding singer, who would you choose and what song?
Oh man, that's wild. They have to be alive, I presume, and active. Dang. I mean, it's hard to not choose Rob Halford, I guess, because that would be just pretty amazing. He's the first one that came to mind. Singing
what though?
I think I'd have to have Rob Halford. I mean, for a wedding, yeah, I'd have to look at the lyrics and think about that carefully. But I guess Diamonds and Rust comes to mind for a wedding song.
Oh, right on. That I think he could rock it. I mean, it is Halford. He can pretty much do anything.
He sure can.
What was the worst time you ever put your foot in your mouth, and what did you say?
Oh dang. I remember once I was booking this local festival, and I mean, I'm sure there's been worse ones than this, but this is just the first one that comes to mind. I was booking this local festival with a bunch of bands. There was two guys with the same name, and one of the guys was just being a real dick, and I was just kind of trying to email the other a few harsh words to say to him about how much of an asshole he was being, and then I realized that I'd actually emailed that very guy, and I felt like a real idiot.
Oh wow. See, that's harsh.
Happens to everyone.
It does. It really does. It's just like, man, it's like, shit, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't
really
be
come
a
back
dick.
from that.
What is the first impression you want to try to give people?
Like with regard to music, or just like in general as a human, or what?
In general as a human.
Interesting. I guess I would like people to see me and think, there's a guy who is, who has something interesting of his own to say and is interested in hearing what I have to say. I guess it's about dialogue and conversation. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't want people to think that I'm just some asshole that doesn't care what they have to contribute, but also I like to be listened to as well.
Definitely. And that is something great. That's, I think, the earmark of being a great person in general is being...
Well, why, thank you.
Well, yeah, because we all have an opinion, and that's how we all get along, just sitting there and, hearing what everybody else has to say. If you don't just, if you don't listen to anybody else's point, then what's the point,
Right. Yeah, there's enough division in this world.
Yeah, for sure. And, like I said, we are all just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
What does your typical Friday look like?
Work about 4:30, and then either there's something going on, and maybe I'll, my partner and I will go out for dinner or meet some friends or go out to the pub, or if we're lucky, there's a show going on or something like that. Otherwise, I'm probably going to make dinner and then sit down here and read a book or work on music.
Definitely.
Probably pretty standard.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds about like it. You're not always going out to the bar, out to the pub or anything. A nice night in works just as well.
Yeah.
What's the most annoying bill you have to pay?
The most annoying bill I have to pay. Well, here in Canada, phone bills are famously aggravating. I think I read somewhere they're the most expensive anywhere in the world. That might not be true, but they're not cheap anyhow. All of our phone bills are well over $100 a month. You can't get them any cheaper than that. Some people try to do things like get American phone plans, but then everyone's annoyed because you got to call long distance every time you want to get in touch with them. So I'm always fairly annoyed by that bill, just because I know that we're getting ripped off, because it's not like the company has to pay more to produce it. I just know we're taken advantage of, so I hate that.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. And
yeah,
I think that's like with mine. I'm on Verizon. I get mad because I have international calling only to certain places though.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So that really sucks. Have you ever been kicked out of anything?
Have I ever been kicked out of anything? I'm sure I have. I mean, to be honest, I'm not thinking of any great examples that are really concrete. I mean, I definitely remember being in high school and going to, trying to make new friends and hanging out with people, and then sort of, and everyone's like, oh, we're going to meet here at lunch. Then, you go there and then no one's there, and you're like, oh, clearly they just ditched me.
See, that
and that sort of thing. That sort of thing sucks and sticks with you. But I can't really think of any really great examples from my more recent life, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, that's always one of the things that sucks, is when you get ditched.
Yeah.
So, are you related to anyone famous or historical?
Well, I'm undoubtedly related to some people from from ways back in history. I think we all are. But no, I don't think so. I'm not aware of anyone famous that I'm related to.
Okay. So yeah, just nobody there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is one thing that people buy that you think is a total waste of money?
I always think it's kind of ridiculous when people go out and buy these brand new, expensive, massive TVs. There's so many huge TVs at the thrift store that are quite large, much larger than any TV you could get even 10 years ago. And you get them at a thrift store and they're all $40 or something. But then people still go out and, spend $3,000 on a new TV that's 6 inches larger and maybe a couple inches thinner. And I'm just why would you do that? I'd rather spend my money on, I don't know, I guess spending my money on a new guitar is equally dumb to many people, but that's my perspective.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that as well, and it's, I guess because we're musicians and,
yeah.
And not into, I don't know, football or something.
Yeah.
No,
I guess because we're musicians, we're
fan, so.
Yeah, I guess being musicians, we're permanently financially screwed because there's so many expensive things for us to spend our money on all the time. So we're all looking for ways to cut corners on anything else.
Yeah, I get it. Name something that's on your to-do list that never gets done.
Oh, I've got a big to-do list, basically right in front of me right here. Well, geez, one thing I've been trying to do for months is renew my trademark on the name Spell, but I have to do that eventually because I'm running out of time.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think that would be up close to the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to take my car in for some checkups, and I've really been putting off going to the dentist for months and months and months. There's just too much going on. I'll get there eventually, maybe.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, and nobody likes the dentist or something like that.
Yeah.
Cam, thank you so much. Again, like last time.
It's been great talking to you again, and thanks for having me on the show.
Definitely.
I always enjoy seeing your updates and the cool band. I often you send me some bands I've never heard of, and I usually check them out when I have the moment. And yeah, It's a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. So as always, links are listed below, so please give a like, a share, and a follow. And the album is dropping today, so please go out and get yourself a physical copy, because on the Bandcamp page, they do have everything on there. They've got T-shirt and Digipack bundles. They've got vinyl. Yep. It looks like there's black and gold splatter, some
purple and a bunch of others. Yeah. And we got shipping from Europe and from the USA, from Metal Blade Records, so should be pretty easy to get your hands on.
Hell yeah. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to anybody today before I ask the last question?
Ooh, that's nice. I'd like to shout out to Girlfriends and Boyfriends, and I'd like to shout out to Gatekeeper, two great local bands that I really appreciate. Check them out. And I'd like to shout out to Freeways from Toronto as well. Our good pals.
Oh yeah. I need to get them on here. I've had several people ask me to reach out and get them. So, all right. So, last question of the day. This one's a tough one, and this one's probably going to require a little bit of thought, because it's kind of tough.
All right.
If you had to lose one of your 5 senses, which one would you give up?
Damn it! I've thought of this one before, and I really don't like it at all. I really don't like it. I've tried to play can I lose one eye and one ear, but that's never allowed, and that's not really very good either. Let's see. Taste, vision, touch, and smell. I mean, I guess I'd have to lose smell, really. I've always had a stuffy nose, ever since I'm allergic to dust and stuff. So my nose has always been plugged up. So I've never really had that much of a sense of smell anyhow. So I'd lose that. Although I realize that my taste would probably go with that. But that's my answer.
I could get behind that, the sense of smell, obviously the hearing, no, definitely not, with especially being a musician. Sight, is still a tough one, because I know people who are blind, and I have some friends who have went blind, and it's so unsettling. Especially when it's you can ask them what do they how does their vision work, and and nobody's ever the same. So that's pretty frightening to actually consider.
No kidding.
Touch, obviously, you need that for music also.
Yep.
And so many other things, and I mean, just taste and smell. It would be a tough one. I mean,
yeah. I'm going to try to keep all 5, though. I'm going to do my best.
Yeah, me too. So, like I said, that's a tough question. So,
yeah.
But seriously, Cam, thank you so much. This has been, a little bit of a shorter Reforged episode, but I dig it. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, and that's what we like to do here.
Absolutely, that's the MO. Thanks a lot for having me on the show. It's been a great pleasure. It's an honor. And hey, I look forward to talking to you again, maybe in another 2 years with a new album.
Maybe before that. Let's bank
anytime.
Before that. So, on the way out from the new album, Tragic Magic, what are we going to play?
Ooh, why don't you play Hades Embrace? That was one that we were really debating putting as the first single. We went with Ultraviolet, but I feel like I want Hades Embrace to get a little airplay.
Awesome. You heard him. This is from the new album from Spell. This is Hades Embrace. Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soul Grinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called the Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is the Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no
man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford?
Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no, my friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of The Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter to the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an Apprentice Metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.